This is lesson 4, comparing whole numbers. So use comparison symbols when you're talking about numbers. You can say something is greater than, less than, equal to. So let's break that apart a little bit. If I have ordering numbers from least to greatest, I can say the least is the smallest number, greatest is the biggest number. Okay, and then I can just compare two numbers if I don't have a whole list to put in order. I know the equal sign looks like this, the greater than looks like this, and less than looks like that. So that's the same sign flipped around backwards, and it confuses people sometimes. I know sometimes you talk about alligator teeth on those. For whatever reason, that confuses me. So the way I remember it is that little tiny point touches the little tiny number. So if I have 2 and 100 and I'm comparing them, I'm using comparison symbols, I'm going to say 2 is less than 100. So I can write it that way. And that's my less than sign. Okay. Use alligator teeth if you want to, if you get it that way. As long as you get it, we don't really care how, but I think somehow the alligator eats the bigger number and you put teeth in there, whatever. Okay, example 1, they want you to put these numbers in order from least to greatest. So I'm going to take the smallest number, then the next smallest number, then the biggest number. So I look at my list, I say, what's the smallest number in my list? The least number, 46. Okay, so I can cross that one out. What's the next smallest number? 54, so I can cross that one out. What's the greatest number? 64, so I can cross that out. So now I have my numbers in order from least to greatest, from smallest to biggest. That's pretty easy, right? Example 2, they're going to ask you to replace the circle or put inside the circle comparison symbols. So I can use equals, greater than, or less than. So the first thing I want to do is I want to just look at it and say out loud what it is. So 7 equals 7. So what symbol do I use? 6 is greater than or bigger than 4. So I know I want the small n touching the smaller number. I'm going to do 6 is greater than 4. And let's say this one out loud. 6 is less than 8. Again, I want the small n touching the smaller number. So 6 is less than 8. If you get confused on bigger, fancier, confusing problems, go back to one of these that you already know the answer to, and that'll help you. Okay, example 3. We're doing it with slightly more complicated numbers now. It's still not hard. But if I'm comparing 373 and 47, so remember that's what I'm doing with this whole lesson is comparing whole numbers. I'm going to look and I notice that without even looking at what the numbers are, this one has more digits, so I know it's bigger. And I know that 373 is bigger than 47. So small number, small end. So 373 is greater than 47. When I get something that's pretty similar like this, I want to look at it place by place. So I have 300. They're both 300, so I don't have to think about that. I'm going to cross that off. Let's look at the tens place. Oh, this one's bigger. So I know that number's bigger just when I look at that tens place. And if I think about it, 82 is bigger than 73. So 82 is greater than 73. There's my smaller end. So 373 is less than 382. Okay, easy. Example 4, they're going to give you words, and they're going to have you put it in symbols. And man, this is going to come in handy next year when you start doing a little bit more algebra. This idea of translating word sentences into math sentences. So 6 is less than, okay, so I want to have my less than symbol. Remember that was the less than. 10. If you can't remember that, put your 6 and your 10 down and know that you want the pointy end next to the small number, so you can do that, less than. Okay? So that's basically the whole lesson. Should be pretty easy. If you get stuck, let me know.